All right, let's do this, huh? We're going deep on Judges today.
Book of Judges, you mean?
Oh, right, the book of Judges, of course. You know, that part of the Hebrew Bible, right? After they get to the promised land,
Right. Yeah, before they have a king.
before the kings.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So no monarchy yet, just, well, judges.
Judges. And a whole lot of turmoil.
Yeah, definitely not a peaceful era. Luckily, we've got this summary to guide us.
It's designed to explain the whole book in like under 10 minutes.
10 minutes. That's ambitious. But hey, I'm up for the challenge. You ready to tackle this thing?
Absolutely. It's a fascinating book full of these really strong personalities and some pretty intense stories, too.
Oh, yeah, I was just skimming the source material earlier, and wow, some of these judges, pretty hardcore.
To say the least.
So where do we even begin with this?
Well, I think the source material does a great job of laying out kind of the overall structure of the book right from the start.
Right, with that whole cycle thing?
Exactly, the
Mhm.
cycle of judges. It's this recurring pattern you see throughout the book.
It's like a roller coaster, almost. Ups
Yeah.
and downs, ups and downs.
That's a good way to put it. It starts with the Israelites straying from their faith, turning away from God, worshiping other gods, that sort of thing.
Messing up, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, there are consequences. God allows them to be conquered by an enemy.
Punished.
Right. But then, when things get really bad, the Israelites cry out to God for help. They repent.
They realize they've messed up, big time.
Exactly. And that's when God raises up a judge, this charismatic leader, to deliver them from their enemies.
Like a hero. Someone to save the day.
Exactly. But here's the thing. The cycle doesn't end there.
Oh no, here we go again.
Right. After a period of peace and prosperity, the Israelites start to forget about God again, and the whole cycle starts all over.
It's kind of, I don't know, disheartening. Like, are they ever going to learn?
Well, that's one of the big questions the book raises, isn't it? It really makes you think about human nature, this tendency we have to repeat our mistakes.
Yeah, makes you think. And speaking of, repeating mistakes, let's talk about some of these judges, because they're not all perfect, right?
Oh, absolutely not. They're incredibly human,
Mm.
flawed, complex, and in some cases, downright.
Hmm.
Well, let's just say interesting.
Interesting is a good word. So who do we meet first in this parade of judges?
Well, the source highlights Deborah right away, and for good reason.
She's pretty amazing, right? The only female judge.
Exactly. A prophetess, a military leader. The source emphasizes how she's this incredibly strong, decisive figure. She rallies the Israelites to defeat the Canaanites.
But even she's not without her,
Challenges.
yeah. I mean, she's got to constantly push Barak, her military commander, to actually step up and fight.
Right. He's hesitant, unsure of himself, and Deborah has to basically say, look, you're the one chosen for this, now go do it.
I guess even with God on your side, you still need a little nudge sometimes.
It seems that way. And then we have Gideon, who's, well, let's just say he's a bit more reluctant.
Oh, yeah, Gideon. He's got a serious case of the doubts.
Doesn't he? I mean, the source even mentions how he asks for multiple signs from God just to be absolutely sure he's hearing correctly.
Fleece and
Yeah.
dew, and it's a whole thing. But in the end, he does come around, right?
He does, and he leads the Israelites to this amazing victory against the Midianites.
Right.
With like a ridiculously small army. It's classic David and Goliath stuff.
Another underdog story. You love to see it.
Hmm.
But, as inspiring as that is, we can't forget about, well,
Samson.
yes, Samson. The source doesn't hold back on his story. Incredible strength. Legendary weakness for Philistine women.
Yeah, he definitely makes some questionable choices, to put it mildly.
His downfall is almost Shakespearean, this incredibly powerful man brought down by his own inability to control his desires.
It's almost like the source material is giving us a warning, right? Like, hey, even the strongest among us can fall victim to temptation. Absolutely. It's a reminder that true strength goes beyond just physical power. It's about self-control, discipline, wisdom.
So we've got Deborah, this powerful woman who's not afraid to take charge, Gideon, the reluctant hero who ultimately rises to the occasion, and Samson, the strong man whose weakness brings him down.
And these are just a few of the judges featured in the book, each one with their own unique story, strengths, and flaws.
Yeah. And it's not just about the individual judges either. As we go through the book of Judges, we see this, a downward spiral.
That's a good way to put it. The source definitely highlights this gradual decline, both in the moral character of the Israelites and in the effectiveness of the judges themselves.
Like they're just, getting worse at this whole being faithful to God thing. And the judges aren't really helping much either.
It raises some pretty tough questions, doesn't it? Why this decline? Is it inevitable? Are the judges really failing? Or are they simply unable to overcome the deeper flaws within the Israelites themselves?
It's like, is there even any hope here? What's the point of all this struggle if they just keep ending up back where they started?
That's a question each reader has to wrestle with, I think. But for me, what makes the Book of Judges so compelling is that it doesn't shy away from those difficult questions.
Right. It's not trying to sugarcoat anything. It's real, it's raw, it's, well, kind of depressing at times.
But also incredibly thought-provoking. It forces us to confront these uncomfortable truths about human nature, about leadership, about the constant struggle between faith and doubt. And those are themes that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
So what did we learn? The Israelites, they messed up, they repented, they got saved. Rinse and repeat. We met some pretty incredible judges along the way, but even they couldn't break the cycle. And in the end, it's all kind of a cautionary tale.
I think that's a fair assessment. It's a reminder that even when we have divine guidance, even when we have strong leaders, the path to lasting change is never easy. There will be setbacks, there will be temptations, and there will be times when we fall short. But that doesn't mean we should give up.
Yeah. And honestly, even though it's a story about ancient Israel, it feels so, I don't know, relevant to our own lives.
Absolutely. The struggles the Israelites faced, their yearning for leadership, their battles against internal and external forces, these are things we all grapple with in different ways.
So yeah, maybe the Book of Judges won't give you all the answers, but it'll definitely make you think. And who knows, maybe by studying their mistakes, we can learn to avoid making the same ones ourselves.
Now that's something to ponder, isn't it?
It is. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
And to all our listeners out there, if you're interested in exploring these ideas further, I highly recommend checking out the full text of the Book of Judges. It's a wild ride, but trust me, it's worth it.
You won't regret it.
See you next time.